Did you ever notice how half of Hollywood seemed to pass through Mayberry before they were famous? 1 minute, they're nameless salesmen or drifters. The next, they're winning Oscars, starring in sitcoms, or in Jack Nicholson's case, screaming about not being able to handle the truth. That's the magic of the Andy Griffith Show. Behind the fishing poles, porch swings, and endless small-town charm, Mayberry quietly became a launchpad for some of the biggest names in show business. Now, here's the deal. For this countdown, we're not talking about the obvious stars Andy, Don, Ron, or Jim. Nope. This is all about the guest appearances, the blink-and-you-miss-'em cameos, and the one-off characters who slipped through Mayberry on their way to Hollywood glory. We're counting down 20 actors who showed up in Mayberry before they made it big. From surprise movie legends to TV icons you never expected. Some of these names will make you say, wait, he was on the Andy Griffith Show. So grab your popcorn, dust off that rocking chair, and let's start at number 20. Gavin MacLeod. Before he was running the Love Boat or charming Mary Tyler Moore, Gavin MacLeod dropped anchor in Mayberry twice. First as a slick TV producer, then later as an actor cast to play Sheriff Taylor in a Hollywood storyline. Imagine pretending to be Andy Taylor, while Andy Griffith is standing right there. That takes guts or a very short career plan. Number 119. George Kennedy. Fresh off his tough guy looks, Kennedy played a state police detective in The Big House. Poor Barney thought he was a bank robber and nearly had a meltdown. It's proof that even Oscar-winning actors can get tangled up in Barney Fife's paranoia. On 18. Larry Hovis. You know him as Sergeant Carter from Hogan's Heroes. But before the POW camp, Hovis was Gilly Walker twice. First when Goober literally dismantled a car, and again in a neighborhood dispute that turned Mayberry into a courtroom drama. Clearly, he specialized in small-town headaches. Kent McCord. If you blinked, you missed him. McCord popped up uncredited in Barney's uniform during a judo class. That's it. No lines, no spotlight. But hey, a few years later he was starring in Adam 12, so sometimes standing quietly in the background really does pay off. Number 16. Howard Hesseman. Long before spinning records as Dr. Johnny Fever on WKRP, Hesseman was manning the counter at Mayberry's food stand. He later resurfaced as a concerned citizen during a town council race. Not bad for a guy who'd eventually embody America's coolest DJ. Number 15. Buddy Ebsen. Before he struck it rich as Jed Clampett on the Beverly Hillbillies, Buddy Ebsen wandered into Mayberry as a friendly drifter and Opie's hobo friend. Opie thought he'd found the world's coolest buddy, but Andy had to step in with some classic Mayberry wisdom. Moral of the story, don't take life advice from a guy who keeps all his belongings in a bindle. Chapter 14. Alan Hale Jr. That's right, the skipper from Gilligan's Island showed up in The Farmer Takes a Wife. Hale played Jeff Pruitt, a big-hearted farmer on the hunt for a bride. He wasn't shipwrecked yet, but judging by his clumsy attempts at romance, it was only a matter of time before he ended up stranded somewhere. Teen. Bob Denver. Speaking of Gilligan's Island, guess who else stopped by Mayberry? None other than Gilligan himself. Bob Denver took over the role of Dud Wash in Divorce, Mountain Style. Just months later, he was cast as the clumsiest castaway in TV history. Mayberry clearly had a thing for future island residents. Number 12. Jackie Coogan. Once a silent film child star, Coogan returned to the spotlight as a con man who dupes Barney. If the name rings a bell, it's because he later became Uncle Fester on The Addams Family. Watching him swindle Barney was creepy, kooky, and altogether ooky. 11. Bill Bixby. Long before he turned green as the Incredible Hulk, Bill Bixby played a spoiled rich kid in Bailey's Bad Boy. Andy had to knock some sense into him without smashing any walls. Turns out Mayberry had its own way of handling Bad Boy's kindness, patience, and just a pinch of Sheriff Taylor glare. Number 10. Jack Albertson. By the late 1960s, Jack Albertson was well on his way to becoming one of Hollywood's most dependable character actors. But before he sang "I've Got a Golden Ticket" as Grandpa Joe in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, he dropped by Mayberry as a shady cousin of Aunt Bee's in the episode Aunt Bee's Cousin. Albertson's character claimed to be a world traveler, a man of experience, and a charming guest. Of course, it didn't take long before Andy realized he was more con artist than cousin. Watching him hustle the townsfolk was like seeing Grandpa Joe's evil twin same twinkle in the eye, just without the candy factory. Chart 9. Sterling Holloway. If his name doesn't immediately ring a bell, his voice will. Sterling Holloway, who would later provide the iconic voice of Winnie the Pooh, played a door-to-door salesman in the episode The Merchant of Mayberry. He was a meek, nervous man, just trying to make a sale. And the whole thing was so endearing that you almost wanted to buy whatever he was selling, even if it was useless. Hearing that unmistakable voice say, "Oh, bother," decades before he officially became Pooh Bear, makes this cameo one of the most charming surprises in the series. Chapter 8. Barbara Eden. Before she became America's favorite magical house guest on I Dream of Jeannie, Barbara Eden waltzed into Mayberry as the glamorous manicurist in The Manicurist. And let me tell you, the entire male population of Mayberry suddenly discovered they needed their nails done immediately. Andy, Barney, and every bachelor in town lined up at the shop. While the womenfolk of Mayberry weren't exactly thrilled, Eden lit up the screen, proving she could hold her own in a cast of scene stealers. It was a role so memorable. You can almost hear the theme music to Jeannie starting to play in the background. Number 7. James Best. Long before he was Sheriff Roscoe P. Coltrane chasing the Duke boys around Hazard County, James Best played Jim Lindsay, the talented guitarist who passed through Mayberry not once, but twice. In his first appearance, Andy tried to help him catch a big break in the music business. By his second, Jim came back a little too big for his boots, needing Andy to teach him a good old-fashioned Mayberry lesson in humility. Best's charm, along with his music, made these episodes fan favorites. Watching him strum on the porch feels like classic Americana before he traded the guitar for a patrol car in The Dukes of Hazzard. Number 6. Jerry Van Dyke comedy clearly ran in the Van Dyke family. Jerry, younger brother of Dick Van Dyke, made his mark in Mayberry as Jerry Miller, a banjo player whose carnival shut down and left him stranded. Andy, being Andy, offered him a temporary gig as a deputy. It was a fun little episode, though fans knew right away there was only one Barney Fife. Still, Jerry's musical talent and easy charm gave the town a different energy. Not long after, Jerry Van Dyke built his own TV career, starring in shows like Coach. His Mayberry stint remains one of those what-if stories. What if he had stayed on as Andy's sidekick number 5, the Howard family? If you thought Mayberry was a one-Howard town, think again. Ron Howard may have been Opie, but his family seemed to treat the set like their personal clubhouse. His father, Rance Howard, popped up in multiple background roles from bus drivers to small-town townsfolk. His younger brother, Clint Howard, stole hearts as Leon, the peanut butter and jelly cowboy who wandered around offering sandwiches to bewildered adults. And in one episode, A Black Day for Mayberry, all three Howards, Ron, Rance, and Clint appeared together. It was like the Howard family reunion nobody realized they were watching. Leon's silent, sandwich-wielding appearances became cult favorites, showing that even at age 5, Clint had comedy timing in his DNA. Number 4. Jamie Farr long before donning a dress as Corporal Klinger in MASH. Jamie Farr rolled into Mayberry in The Gypsies. He played one of the traveling performers who unsettled the townsfolk by cursing the town. Naturally, Barney overreacted because when didn't he Farr's character might have been a throwaway role at the time, but his presence added spice to the episode. Years later, Farr would become a household name with his wild antics in the 4077th, proving that even a short stop in Mayberry can lead to sitcom immortality. Number 3. Don Rickles. Yes, Mr. Warmth himself. Don Rickles appeared in The Luck of Newton Monroe as a hapless salesman whose inventions and schemes were doomed from the start. The irony Rickles, known for his biting insults and lightning-fast wit, played a man who couldn't get anything right. Watching him fumble through Mayberry feels like watching Superman trip over his own cape. Still, even then, you could see the spark of comic brilliance that would make him one of America's favorite insult comedians. 2. Rob Reiner. Before he was Meathead on All in the Family or the director behind The Princess Bride and When Harry Met Sally, Rob Reiner had a blink and you'll miss it moment in Mayberry. In Goober's Contest, he played a typesetter in the local newspaper office. That's it. Just a few lines. But looking back, it's surreal to see the man who'd go on to shape modern romantic comedy quietly hunched over a printing press in Mayberry. It's living proof that even tiny roles can be stepping stones to massive careers. Number 1. Jack Nicholson. Yes, you heard that right. Jack Nicholson, the man who would later become one of Hollywood's most intense and celebrated actors, appeared twice in Mayberry. In Opie Finds a Baby, he played a young father, and in Aunt Bee the juror, he showed up in a storyline that riffed on 12 Angry Men. Imagine watching The Andy Griffith Show in 1966 and thinking, that kid's pretty good. A decade later, he's riding a motorcycle in Easy Rider and redefining cinema in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Seeing Nicholson in the gentle, homespun world of Mayberry is one of television's greatest, what moments? From sandwich-wielding kids to future Oscar winners, these top 5 stories capture just how wide Mayberry's shadow really stretched. This wasn't just a sitcom about small-town life. It was a stage where future legends cut their teeth. What does all this tell us? Mayberry wasn't just a sleepy TV town. It was a proving ground, a quiet stage where future legends sharpened their craft before the spotlight found them. The Andy Griffith Show gave audiences laughter, warmth, and lessons in small-town living. But it also helped launch some of the biggest stars of the next 3 decades. So, who surprised you the most? Was it Grandpa Joe running a scam? Or young Jack Nicholson popping up in a courtroom? Drop your favorite in the comments. We love seeing which guest stars you never expected. And if we left someone out, let us know. Mayberry had plenty of visitors, and we might just feature your pick in a future video. Before you go, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into TV's golden era, and ring the bell so you never miss our next stroll down memory lane. From Mayberry to Hollywood, the road was shorter than anyone realized, and now you know exactly who walked it first.